Welcome back, and in the ultra-competitive field of paddling sports, Australia is currently considered a world power. Hopefully that strength will translate into medals at the Atlanta Olympics. And among the most distinguished paddlers this country has produced is Dean Gardner. The man has won medals at the National Surf Lifesaving Championships and shared victories in Western Australia's Avon Descent. But perhaps the most impressively, he's four-time winner of Hawaii's Molokai Marathon event. Welcome to Wide World of Sports, Dean. I mean, how would you compare this to the other two races?
The Molokai event it's a real traditional event in Hawaii terms. You know, you've got you're travelling from one place to another, and that sort of follows the Hawaiian thing, you know, and you go from across this channel that's supposedly one of the roughest channels in the world, and you've got to put up with all these different things, you know, sea creatures and waves, and then you've got a race as well. So it's a great race in that sense. I
mean, you look at a race like the Avon Descent. I mean, that's life-threatening too. There have been lives lost in that. I mean, gee, it's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's you know, the Avon Descent. You know, unfortunately, they did lose a life a couple of years ago, and that's a great race in itself too. But it's the good thing about paddling events. You can do it in the ocean, you can do it on a lake, you can do it in a river, and it gives you so many more you know, options to take.
When you take part in the Molokai, you set out and you can't see where you're going. So one, there's navigation. Two, you've got no land in sight. I mean, what's the feeling, and does navigation come into it, or just everybody follows everybody?
Well, usually the trade winds are blowing a certain angle at that time each year, so you have them off your right shoulder, and this year usually you can just sort of make out Oahu in the distance, and this year it was covered by a big white cloud, and Martin Kenny and I went a little bit too far north, so navigation is a big factor, and the guys that went south got a lot of distance on us early in the race, and we had to sort of come back down. But it worked out in the end in the way that we could ride the chop down from the north, whereas they were, in the end of the race, they were cutting back up into the chop, so it worked in our favour a little bit, but we did cover more distance.
Okay, you're battling the elements. You also mentioned that, you know, you've got the problems from time to time with, I guess, sharks or anything else that can be out there. I mean, have you come across any incidents you said, oh boy, I'm glad I got out of that one. That was a close call. Can you recall anything like that?
Probably not so much with you know, sharks, but with definitely in wave situations where even off Sydney, where you're doing a run, say, from Manly to Palm Beach, and it's one of those big southerlies with a huge swell, and off Narrabeen you get all these different bommies that break, and you can be caught inside those, and there's been many an occasion where I've had to bail and let the ski go and then swim for it later, and when you're out there by yourself it can be pretty frightening.
If you're a newcomer to the sport, what about seasickness? That must be a consideration.
Yeah, there have been some guys that have gotten seasick over the time, but generally I think being so close to the water and getting wet all the time, it helps you get over that, and if you ever do get seasick, I guess you can always just fall in, and once you're in the water, you're fine.
What's the attraction? I mean, how did you get involved in paddling sports?
Yeah, it's weird. I was always a guy that just went surfing down the beach. I was brought up in Perth, and in Perth you don't have much surf in summer, and so I got involved with the Lifesaving Club, and just, you know, went paddling on a ski. I'd take a fishing line out, or I'd just go paddling, and some of the guys that I grew up with were doing the same thing, and then it just eventuated from there. I moved over here and pursued it a little bit more, and saw that there were races like the Molokai race, which are great fun, and some of the other events that I've done in the United States and Tahiti and South Africa now, and it's a good opportunity for me to travel and race and stay healthy and just enjoy myself.
I mean, in real terms, it's not a high-profile sport, and a man who puts in as much work as you would to do the things you do, I mean, you sit back and sort of say, I could probably do something else and get a lot greater rewards.
Yeah, you can always say that, but you know, on the profile thing, you can't make people sit down and watch your sport. You know, it's something that I want to do, and it's my goal. You know, it's not anyone else's, and I look at, you know, I used to play Australian rules when I was in Perth, and I think, you know, like, imagine if I'd pursued that and been good at it, you know, that would have been fun, or surfing, or something that is more high profile, but I've got no regrets on what I've done at all. What's
your training schedule each day? Is it each day you've got to be in the water?
Yeah, I usually get out each day. I probably do, depending on what the day is and what the sessions are, somewhere between 3 and 4 hours.
Do you hurt?
I hurt this morning.
Well, all this hurt, is it worth it? Can you make a decent living out of it?
Not at all, no. It's, you've got to, pursue other things, which I've done, and, but the fact is I enjoy it, and I do make, enough money out of it to stay on top, but it's not something that I could totally live off.
So your business interests, what are they?
Well, Guy Leach and I opened a phone shop in Manly today called Interact, which I'm wearing up here. And I also drive charter boats on the harbour. I spent many years working in the north of Western Australia, driving prawn trawlers and fishing boats and that sort of thing. So I've pursued that, and I drive a charter boat on the harbour, and I want to continue that as well. That's going to keep ticking over, so every couple of years I go back and do another course and upgrade my ticket and go higher with that. And there's a few things that I want to do. I'd love to sort of get into writing a little bit more. I do a column for one of the local newspapers down at Manly. I'd love to pursue something like that. It's something that interests me. And
now you've got Hamilton Island. That's your next big one, though, isn't
it?
it? 2 weeks' time.
Yep, looking forward to that.
So are we.
Yeah, you guys will love it up there.
I just hope we can get up there. Okay, thanks very much, Dean. All the very best.
Thank you.
You're watching Wide World of Sports. We'll have more in just a moment.